topic would be reimagining Burji pathway to Milarepa. So on how this thesis will be presented is I have prepared this 11 index: project identification and justification, objectives, contextual study of this very place, Burji village, its documentation, interventions, concept, design development, plans and volumes, Milarepa's gallery, and then the conclusion. So starting with my project identification, it was derived from the Chum Valley, that is the place it is located in, the Hidden Valley, also known as the Hidden Valley of Happiness. So this is the Burji village. How did my project get its name? That is the reimagining Burji pathway to Milarepa. This is the Burji village, and this marked portion is a landmark. This landmark is seen from afar while we enter this very village, and we could see prayer flags and stupas at a very distance. So village of Burji, it is linearly located in a riverside and mostly agriculture field, and there is a maximum number of yak in this very village, and it has its very unique livelihood. That is the reason why I chose this project as well. And what is this landmark for? When we enter this village, we can see this landmark, and then there would be curiosity on what lies in this very landmark. So this landmark is for the Milarepa's cave. A steep staircase is present from this very landmark to the top of the Milarepa cave, and this landmark signifies the base of the Milarepa's cave. So now, who is Milarepa? Milarepa is a murderer turned into a saint. He is a great Tibetan philosopher, and just like we worship Buddha and everyone in Tibet, they have this culture of worshipping Milarepa on a regular basis, always, as well as different pilgrims from different places of the world comes to this very village in order to visit that very cave. Milarepa's cave in Burji is also visited regularly by the villagers, and this culturally and historically significant cave was my drive for this thesis. Now, from Burji to landmark was my major concern, and the pathway was pretty clear. From Burji to the cave, we reached the landmark, and from landmark we take the steep staircase to the cave. But the connection from Burji to the landmark was dotted, or wasn't properly addressed yet till today. So I took this as a problem. Pathway from Burji to the landmark was the problem identified for my thesis, because when we had to reach the landmark from Burji, we had to pass through the fields, and then that would destroy the crops. The villagers had to compromise themselves, and as travelers like us, even we had to go through conveniences as well. So therefore, my thesis identified the pathway from Burji to the landmark as a problem. And my objectives of thesis would be, before any kind of interventions in this very village, the documentation of this whole village was to be done. Next would be reliving the forgotten past for the future. That is, how can the history of this place be represented or expressed in new architecture interventions. All these program formulated, that is the library, village hall, weaving and sewing exhibitions, were done after the interview with the locals there. Next would be cheese to respond transhuman pastoralism for economic growth in this very place. I addressed that problem with cheese and churpi production. And lastly, pathway to Milarepa, that is through the Milarepa's gallery. Pathway to Milarepa signifies the connection from Burji to the landmark and not directly to the cave. And from the landmark, the staircase is already present to reach this very cave. So welcome to the Chum. To give you a context on where this project is located, it is located in the Gorkha of Nepal. This is in the central portion of Nepal, and this is the Chum Valley. So this is the trekking route for Burji, and this place is inaccessible by road. Therefore, we have to walk for a week to reach this very place. And this is the site section. All these orange marked are upper Chum, whereas these are the lower Chums. So in this upper Chum, I chose Burji as the village that lies at the center of this upper Chum, and at the elevation of 3,200 meter from the sea level. So this very village was taken for my thesis, which was inaccessible by roads and also connected to Tibet through tractor road, and isn't quite familiar with Nepal. So the climate is 1900 mm per annum average rainfall. So talking about the history, this place has very strong essence of history and spiritual values in itself. It was first found in the 12th century Tibetan text, and during the Nepal-Tibet War, the tomb was taken over by Nepal, and it is known as the place where people ran away from the war in search for shelter. So therefore, it is also known as the Hidden Valley of Happiness. One of the interesting history of this very place is the non-violence history. In 1921, it was not to slaughter any living animals, not to hunt, and even harvesting honey was a crime in this very place. So therefore, this place holds a very significant relation with nature in itself, and this was further explained in my thesis. So livelihood of people highly depends on agriculture. That is when there is no heavy snowfalls, and the festivals, they have this unique horse riding festivals that happens every year, and this mask dance that is very unique and very similar to the Tibetan culture. The people here speak their own unique language and wear their own unique dresses. They have their own unique way of life that is different from anywhere in the lower portions of Nepal, and they are known as the Chumbas since they live in the tomb. So architecture of tomb, starting from settlement pattern, it is they are alongside the rivers. Most of the settlement patterns are clustered since it's a very cold region, except for the village that I chose, that is the Burji. It is linearly placed alongside the road and alongside the river. So some religious architecture of this place would be the Bumba that can be seen at the entrance of any villages, the money locker that is run through the water wheels and is believed to have enchanted Om Mani Padme Hum in so many ways. And the Chorten, the Bumba, the money wall, this very architecture of this place that we can see in the higher altitude. I have taken this till the end of my thesis. Money wall usually extends from 5 meter to 15 meter. It is stacked stones that has inscriptions written on it, and it is usually seen at the entrance of the village that announces or welcomes the travelers. So vernacular dwellings, I will just keep it short in this portion. We can see typical houses being of stones material used as stone, and the ground floor is usually used for animals, whereas living spaces are in the upper story. Similarly, the kitchen portion, we have male portion and female portion separated, and the thickness of the wall, and they have dry stone masonry as well. And the shrine room, the sacred space of their very houses, are the shrine room that is located in the first floor. Materials used are stone and wood, unless it's a gompa or a building of religious value then we can see metals are being used. Openings had the sequence of 3 and 5, and highly Tibetan influenced architecture could and other elements from Tibet. So these are the materials used. And this is the typical axonometric explosion of how the structures have been planned, and how the upper floor is completely made out of wood, and stones are rarely used just to envelop the building. So talking about the historical and culturally important areas of this place, this is the village that I chose. This is the Milarepa cave. This is Tsum monastery, and this is the other important monastery of this place. And this is the final destination, that is Mugomba, that is 2 hours on the tractor from the village that I chose. So my village lies at the center of this four major important areas, and this village lies here. So my targeted villages would be all the villages in Upper Chum. That are 8 villages, and these are the names. And this is the village that I chose. It lies at the center of this of the valley, and that is one of the reasons why this was the best place to develop in a touristic way. So talking about the Burji Gaon, that is the village that I did. That is the village. So Burji means a blessed land. It only has 11 households, though it has the highest number of yaks present in the upper Jum, that is 135. It lies at the lap of Milarepa cave, and it is also at the center of the upper Jum. These are the reasons why I chose this village, and the distance from the Mulgompa, that is the ultimate destination, is 2 hours, right, where all the yaks are reared. So this is the site plan of this very village, and we can see this is the road, and there are 3 nodes to which we can go towards the field from there. This is the typical section of this village. This is the village. These are the fields, and here is the Milarepa cave. So this is the river. And I documented this since it's a very small, it's a very small 14 houses village. I could document this village, and these are some of the vocabularies in their local language, like they call yard like ilto and all that. So I was able to document it. So these are the 14 houses. We could see there they have this common courtyard, and after the earthquake on 2015 that happened, we could see see newer buildings that were banded houses that was proposed that was made under the government proposed clauses as well. So the banded houses holded new activities that was very important to them. So that helped me study their social aspects further. So existing activities of the villages were studied. For instance, all these purple marked are the homestays, and these yellows are the wheat meal and mustard meal that they would mill. This is also one of the banded houses, and this is the street elevation of this village that shows the roof lines of this village and how tall these boundary walls are. Also, these red portions are winemaking. So I just before interventing any kind of ideas into it, I had to study the existing activities to further intervene into it. So these are the proposed activities of the village. Minimum interventions were done, and like functions were put together. The user experiences and clarity of activity in the villages was obtained. Like this house was completely developed to produce wheat and mustard, and these houses were developed as chwechang, that is the shrine room. For any visitors, they would be able to experience the activities along the pathway, but then there will be enough privacy for the people as well, since they all reside in the upper story. And this endpoint, we can see this red mark is a bhumpa. This bhumpa is relatively unnoticed and uncared, but then the villagers worship this every day. So this bhumpa was taken as a departure point of my thesis. And like discussed earlier, I had formulated my programs after interviewing with the locals there. So these are my proposed activities of the village after interventions. So some of the sketches aside, it helped me give an insight to the village, like these gyakdungs over stone walls. So talking about the site, my entire village was taken as a site. This is the village, and this is the landmark so my major proposal was to connect these two areas, and this is the Milarepa's cave. So this is the cave, and here is the landmark. So my concept would be hidden links, unfolding the relations. Why did I choose hidden links? Is this this valley is known as the hidden lands of happiness, and also there are so many connections with animals, with people and their history, that all these connections and relations had to be open and had to be more glorified. So I took 3 major points, that is spiritually, economy, and nature. Spiritually, I will further go inside this later on. The other would be a window to Chum. This project would act as a touristic destination where a user would experience what Chum Valley was all about, and not just Burji village. And similarly, from this very point, since major points can be seen, it would be a window to Chum. So further elaborating on spirituality, economy, and nature, we oftentimes we forget about the spiritual aspects of life. These 3 points are the major aspects that as a human we live by. So talking about spirituality, first would be samsara to nirvana, that is the world that we live in, to the enlightenment phase. So the pathway that will act as a narrator of Milarepa's journey to freedom. So Milarepa's journey from as a normal man, from a murderer who turned into a saint towards his enlightenment, that will be a connection of spirituality from the world to the enlightenment. This hidden relation is to be unfolded by architecture, that is done physically through by connecting Burji village and the landmark itself. Next would be economic aspects, that is economic ties to freedom. Although this terrain promises beauty and an amusement for the travelers, the livelihood here is very difficult, and this terrain needs the pastoral lifestyle that it has been having since centuries to sustain their livelihood. So to give meaning to and return to the traditional transhuman pastoralism, that is the pastoralism that they keep moving their herds from one elevation to another elevation throughout the year. So this very transhuman pastoralism was addressed, and I proposed cheese production and churpi making spaces for the economic freedom. Also within the nature, since this as discussed earlier, they have this forbidden non-violence history. I think that history not just connects people, but it connects people, animal, and nature, but it shows equal respect towards all the living beings, and how in harmony we can all live by. So a good design to blur the line between architecture and nature was attempted. So that was done with two concepts, that is building as a landscape and form follows the terrain. The next would be the visual connectivity. Now we were talking about hidden links, so those were all abstract links and how we can bring out the abstract relations in architectural form. Now with the visual connectivity between these four various points were also addressed. This is the landmark point. So this is these are the four major visual points, and this is the Milarepa cave that we will be connecting to this very village. So the visual connections were also taken under consideration to unfold the relations again. So targeted groups would be the Chumbas, that are the locals, yak herders, and the trekkers and the pilgrims. These are some of the material palettes that vernacular use of material palette was done. So this is my concept, and now moving on towards the design development. I will be explaining my design development in three phases. So I will be explaining design development in three phases. First would be the development of axis, that is my visual axis from village entrance to the landmark. This very point from where we could vividly look at this landmark afar, this axis had to be taken, and the line of sight between these two was taken as visual axis, that is Milarepa's axis, as the way to the landmark. As we can see, this is the existing pathway of this very village, and it takes us to the next village from here, but the landmark lies in the other direction, so therefore there had to be a node. So then the node was identified. So the axis from the node and then the village to the landmark was taken as a visual axis, and then the node was identified at the end of this existing road, so that there will be no disturbance to what was already there. And phase 2 would be the node would divide my programs into two halves, the one half being on the left and the other half being on the other side. And the pathway to landmark was developed along the cliff line. Other options were tried as well, but then the best and the efficient was along the pathway along this cliff line, since all this agricultural land would then be preserved. And this gompa that I explained how it was unnoticed was taken as a departure point for my further development. And now the green axis, we can see this is the village axis that was taken. This will now further guide along all the other new buildings that will be intervented in this very village. So taking Gopa as a departure point, the first bit was done, and we can see these three red rectangles are placed alongside this visual axis, and these are the open spaces. Now for the building structures, this green axis and this red axis will come into play. The phase 3 would be developing the clusters. So I have 4 clusters, that is A, B, C, and D. So A is the library and village hall that is placed closely to this very village that will cater for this very village only. And then comes wool weaving and sewing exhibiting blocks. Why did I choose wool weaving and sewing exhibition block is because they have this communal sewing culture. That is, if I sew a carpet at someone's house, at a neighbor's house today, tomorrow they would come to my place for this very same activity. And for bringing women together, this is the place that would exhibit as well as sell, as well as generate some economic revenues as well. And this C would be the cheese house, and then D being the pathway that will be developed as Milarepa's gallery itself. And this pathway is inspired from money wall that announces the welcome. The similar money wall could be seen at the entrance of the village. So this is replicated in order to announce again this landmark itself. So the courtyard and the ridge lines of these villages were taken as a reference for the further cluster development. So zoning ordinance and zoning ordinance begin from this cluster A, that is the Bhumpa Square. This is the very stupa that I wanted to address. A square was built around it where community could gather and have small communal activities within this very village. There's a library and village hall placed therefore alongside this very village, and the block B would be sewing block. The entire block placement was done in accordance to the vernacular architecture of that very place. The narrow alleys were also provided. These are the two courtyards from where this is the wool weaving and this is the sewing courtyard, and this is the very node that was identified, which also acts as a window to tomb. And this is the cheese block, and these are the Milarepa gallery. This is the very beginning phase of my design development. So any building after this node would be sunken into the ground so that it wouldn't affect the agricultural land and the landscape of this very place. But this A and B, these two blocks would be an extended part of this village itself. So talking about the cheese house, this node, how does it act as a window to tomb? From this very point, we could see the wool weaving at the left, cheese house at the right, and towards the north, we could see the landmark, the agriculture field, the mountains, and towards the south, we could see the river. Therefore, this very point would give an overall experience of the tomb itself, overall experience of this village itself. So this acts as a window, and my aim would be to demark this landmark such that it holds its importance further. This is this pink is the existing village. These yellows are the footprints that I have further developed. This is the node. Although these are the footprints, these buildings are rather sunk inside the ground itself. So this doesn't appear these hues later on. And this is the actual pathway from the village up to the landmark itself. So talking about the entrance of the village, this acts as an open air theater and acts as a welcoming point for all while studying all the villages around, we have I came into the conclusion that every village had a stone tap except for this one. So a village tap was proposed at the center point where trekkers could rest, and then there were horses. Since there is no means of other transportation, every household holds horses. Therefore, they need space for this becomes a space for horses to drink water and bath. So moving on to the Bhumpa Square, this is the Bhumpa, and this is the square that I have designed. This becomes the platform for people to stay and acts as a small amphitheater for this very village. And this is the village hall and cafeteria that caters the village hall itself. So this is a section of the library. In the section we can see this. There's I have placed a prayer wheels, a wall of prayer wheels, so that it starts as this gives out an angle or the access for my further building placements. And these are the windows. These windows are replicated from this existing village, so that it gives an expression of how the village given out since long time back. Next would be the weaving and sieving block. This is the plan for the weaving and sieving block. It has 2 courtyards in it, and as we can see, from 4 meter to 6 meter the road level rises. I have given this courtyard. Also from this courtyard we will be elevating from this 0 to 1 and then 1 to 2. So this is the narrow alleys that was created, and these are where the raw materials will be collected, and wool washing rooms, and then the wools will be processed here, whereas the sewing programs will be done in this very courtyard, and we enjoy all the activities on our walk on the courtyard. But all the activities will also not be disturbed as they are separated on different platforms itself. So here is a small shop as when we exit this very block, and here I have placed an entrance as well, that from where we reach towards the node of this very village. So further explaining, so this is the cheese house. My cheese house, for the cheese house, I have developed an underpass lobby. These portions are all underground, and this is the upper level portion where we can see from here we can go towards the cheese testing room, and we can enjoy how the cheese production, how the cheese is produced through this double story height of this cheese production room, and then the churpi drying platforms are also given. Also, further on towards the Milarepa gallery, we can see cafeteria and a resting space in itself. So this is the cheese make production room, and this is the cheese testing area. This becomes the underpass from where we reach the Milarepa gallery's entrance portion. So this is the different levels in which this cheese production room is established. This underpass also is influenced from this traditional architecture of this place, that is Kani, that whenever we enter a home, we need to bow down a little bit. So this underpass was created from that very concept as well. So we can see the staircase. We reach to the upper portion, upper roof level, the flat roof that allows farmers to dry their crops as well, and a resting space. So this is the cheese block. This is where the underpass that I was talking about. This is the churpi drying room, and this is the node, a window to chum. This is a resting space. From here we could experience this entire Milarepa's gallery that acts as a landscape in itself. So the next would be the Milarepa's gallery. Before beginning to explain Milarepa's gallery, I would like to give you an insight on Milarepa's life story that I have divided into 7 parts. Milarepa is a Tibetan philosopher, and who is worshipped by the Tibetans, and the Milarepa story big honesty and betrayal from his uncle because of for financial issues, and then his search for tantric wisdom. And after the search for tantric wisdom, he had this vengeance, and he avenged the entire village by killing more than 100 people and by causing thunderstorm. And then there was a remorse phase of his life by what he just did, and then comes the enlightenment phase and preaching and traveling. During this preaching and traveling is when he came across this Burji village itself, and this Burji village itself, he meditated in that very cave, and he has left his it is believed that he have left his footprints on that very cave. So that is the reason why this cave is so much more significant, and people all around the world travels to this place every year. So the main design philosophy would be museum as a heterotopia, such as we do not need any object to be in a museum. A museum itself could speak for itself. So therefore, building as a landscape was addressed. Building to follow the terrain in itself, so that it creates a harmony with the landscape that it stands on. And pathway as a storyteller, the story that I just expressed, that in 7 different phases of Milarepa's life, these stories are to be told by this very building. For instance, we start from since we have to be elevating in height, and the straight pathway would be the shortest distance from this very village to the landmark. So I chose a straight linear shaped building, but then to express his story and to tell this and to narrate his very story, the design was started in the sectional level. So these are these are many sketches that I experimented with, and these are some mass and voids that I wanted to balance out. This since it's a very long pathway and we need a lot of resting space, and as we tell, only when your eyes rest the mind can contemplate. So taking that, I broke these masses with lots of voids and created courtyards immediate after elevating few height in itself. So this museum was proposed to be a storyteller of Milarepa, of the great Saint Milarepa himself, and another concept would be the lighting concept, the lights through which you could evoke emotions in a person. And museum doesn't necessarily need any elements to be exhibited. So this pathway itself exhibits as a narration, and the user would experience his entire life story. The attempts were made to do so. So this is the final product of the gallery. This is the entrance portion where we can see audio visual rooms, and then these are how I broke the mass and void in this very building, in this very long building. So this is the study of light and shade. I will further elaborate this in further slides. So these are the lights and shades of this very building. So form development, as I've discussed earlier, the Mani wall was taken as an inspiration that announces the welcome towards any place, and then these monotonous blocks were then broken into voids and then further developed in this way. So the pathway was then created to tell the story of Milarepa, and this is how we reached the landmark. This entire landmark was overthinked in itself as well. So these segments are separated to two phases of his life, starting with entrance. We come across this audio visual room. I have placed my physical model at the right hand corner of this screen so that we can see the lightings were the entrance lightings were slit lightings, so that it would create an interesting light effects on the stone wall itself. And this is the audio visual room to give an insight to who Milarepa is before beginning to reach the landmark, or before beginning a journey from this very point. And we come out after an insight, we come out to this open space, and then this first portion would be the entrance. This is the childhood, that is the birth in the Tibetan mountains. The walls were placed in this way so that it could control the amount of light entering the building. So the only light in this portion would be from the top, that is here, and then the inscripted wall would come into action, so that people would instantly get their eyes on this very place. And similarly, next would be after his birth and lavish childhood, there was this tragedy and betrayal stage of his life that was denoted by this flowing water to the stagnant water. And this is the dark room. This is a dark room that expresses his betrayal in life. And then we can see the stairs elevating upwards. This stairs then takes him to this light, takes him out to the open again. That is the search for tantric wisdom. And this is the very staircase. We can see the light being hit directly on the person standing at this very point. So there is another slit lighting that will hit directly as we walk from this dark room to this towards the open space. We first experience the light hit across our body, and then we walk towards the light. So towards the light to this open space again. We can see in this model as well. This is the pathway that we can walk. And the next stage would be his after he achieved tantric wisdom, would be this stage of vengeance towards the entire village. When he killed more than 100 villagers, he caused hailstorm and landslide to that very village. So to express that very emotion, I took inspirations from Jewish museum, where we can hear clinging sounds to express the emotions of Jews and how they were tortured. So similarly, I have used the stones to make it difficult for the users to walk through it, so that they get an essence of how they get an essence of the struggles of the survivors. So this is how they walk from this open space towards to elevate elevate up. And after this vengeance stage, there comes his remorse stage. Before that, we come across the water body that acts as a reflection pond after his vengeance on what he just did. So this acts as a reflective space in itself. And then we go towards the remorse stage. This remorse stage of his life is the longest stage, and here we can see this. This is the dark room, and they have to go, and there's slit lightings again. The lightings occur in the opposite direction as well. So after this remorse stage, it goes downwards, and after this down we come out into this courtyard. This is the very courtyard I'm talking about, and this courtyard is a double story courtyard. We can see in this model that this is the courtyard we come out, but then here is this upper portion is accessed through this staircase again, and this point will be a look back point to his journey after his vengeance, after his reflection on what he did, and then the remorse phase. He will finally go towards the enlightenment phase, towards his after a long duration of remorse stage in his life. His life journey is directed towards enlightenment phase, and this is the enlightenment staircase. But then we have this towards the left a doorway, but then the staircase continues. This continuous staircase takes us towards this upper story, that is the look back point for his entire journey. And now this is enlightenment. This is the enlightenment staircase. We can see from here we get to go out, but then the staircase continues for anyone who wants to stand out of this space and look back to the journey. So from here we go towards this enlightenment courtyard. The enlightenment courtyard is filled with his journeys and his teachers, the translator, that Marfa that he worshipped. So this place is designed as an inspiration from Vietnam War Museum. The way the users are reflected back upon the similar ideas are used in it, and the pathway isn't even straight because there is this sitting space and tree space, plus you have to go this way to access towards the end. So this is the enlightenment courtyard, and there are 8-fold paths of enlightenment expressed through this waterfall, through this waterfall, and these eight openings that views towards the village itself. And then comes the prayer wheel room, and then we come towards the end of this point, and we see the steep staircase that is angled in this direction. Now this angle is the visual axis that I mentioned earlier, that the red axis. All these buildings are in the green axis, that is the village axis, but this is the red axis. The red axis, why is it this wall so tall and then we are completely covered and directed in a very straight direction, is we get the look of Milarepa cave directly from this point straight towards the Milarepa cave. We do not reach the Milarepa cave, but then the first visual point would be looking at the cave because of this huge walls. So this is the overall section of the gallery. We can see this is the audiovisual room, and then the open courtyard comes in. His birth, his way to tantric wisdom, and then his vengeance point. Then again the open courtyard. This is the double courtyard portion, and then this is the enlightenment point. This is his enlightenment courtyard, and this becomes the prayer wheel, and this becomes the pathway. So this is the landmark in itself. And talking about the landmark, also the landmark, as I had mentioned earlier, the visual axis, there are 4 different points that was addressed in this very landmark. 1, 2, 3, and 4. These are the 4 platforms that points towards the 4 culturally and historically significant place of Burji village. So this is and this water goes out to meet the immediate waterfall and an immediate natural waterfall at this very cliff line. So this is the landmark from where this is the view from the landmark, and this is the Milarepa's statue, and this becomes the pathway again. This is the stupa, the existing stupas at the landmark. So this is another view from this. So this becomes this shows the overall circulation, horizontal circulation of this very building block, and how it is sunken inside the ground, and the roofing hasn't been placed to show the interior walls of this very building. So these are some of my model placements, and so these are some other renders. There are 3D visualizing model at the initial phase. So this is my very first model. This shows the entrance point. This is this brown are the existing villages, and these white are the proposed villages. So this is the Milarepa's gallery, the long one, and this becomes the node. And this is my other model. This model shows the clarity in how this chamfered, how this long building has been cut down into mass and void in itself. And this is the reimagined landmark. So these are the sieving blocks, and these are the Bumba Square. And this is the final model that was done in 1:100 scale for the open circulation of this very long building. So these are. I just want finally I want to end this with a thank you note to my juniors who helped me throughout my thesis. I mean, it wouldn't have been possible without them. They spend their day and night while doing these models. So I just want to express my gratitude towards them, and how teamwork helps us succeed in any kind of project that we do. And it is definitely about team leadership more than just leadership. So this is my final final presentation of my thesis. Thank you so much, everyone. I just want to end this with a thank you note. Thank you.